Hi, I am the TikToker formerly known as Mama Owl. And now that the entire internet has spent more than a month eviscerating me and telling my story however they see fit, I think I've earned the right to speak for myself. I'm going to go through the entire timeline and what has happened to me. And most of you have already made your decision based on rumors, lies, and snippets. And hopefully some of you are willing to listen to what has actually transpired. So back in July of 2023, I made a skit. It was sent to me by somebody who is an adult looking back on their childhood, and they wanted to call out their attacker because they never really felt like they got true justice. And they wanted to do this by making sure that person would know that the skit was about them, but not knowing who was calling them out, which is why I was being used as the proxy for the story. And I agreed to it, and I put up a full page content warning, trigger warning, disclaimer, all of it. All the safeguarding that I could possibly put in as a content creator. And I did the story. Not long after, I did receive a message from a member of the trans community because the victim in the story was a trans child. That person told me that even with all the safeguarding I had put into place, and even though they felt that they were in a good mental headspace, that video was still triggering for them. I listen to the members of the communities I am advocating for. So I immediately removed the video and I issued an apology to that person. Now, a lot of times people who are furious over a piece of content want a public apology, want it to be talked about. But because I'm about lessening harm, I didn't make another video talking about sexual assault against the trans community in religious spaces, because that doesn't bring it back. That regurgitates it further, talks about it further, which can be further triggering. So I removed that piece. I left up all the other segments of the story that talk about advocating for yourself and fighting back against your assailants and who to talk to and how to talk, and all of the advocacy I left up, but that part was taken down. And I apologized to that person, and people in the comments section were told that somebody had come to me, so I took it down. And I moved on with my life from there. I learned from the experience. I changed my content, which many people have made note of, and I became a better person. I learned from it. Fast forward to June 2nd of this year. A minor doxed me on this platform. Prior to this video being posted, my legal name or any of my personal identifying information had never been on my TikTok and had never been on any of the platforms linked to my TikTok. But this person thought it would be funny to do that. Now, at the time, I just wanted not just my information, but the dozen or so other people whose information had been put out there. I wanted it taken down. And I did make a comment on that person's page, public remark, anyone could have seen it, and it was removed temporarily. At this point, I thought I was safe. Fast forward to June 22nd of this year. I had been receiving remarks from my followers for I don't even know how long, saying, hey, did you know about this site that's been stealing your content and reposting it, and they're profiting and all of this? We've all seen this. It's everywhere on the platform. And I didn't really know how to get that content taken down because every time that you report something on your phone, it doesn't work. Well, I finally figured it out, and I was getting these questions, not daily, but at least a few times a week. And so I made a video on June 22nd saying, hey guys, I figured it out and here's how you can help. That video was put up, and me knowing the algorithm, I decided to go live to help that video get more traction. As soon as I went live, I started getting spammed by somebody. And I said, less than 2 minutes into the live stream, do we have a spammer in here? And after almost 10 minutes of enduring this, I finally said, dude, just quit spamming, and I blocked him. And that live stream went a little more than an hour. So 10 minutes in, that's what was happening. And I went off of my live stream a little more than an hour later. The video that I had posted about stolen content definitely had more traction than a standard video in that time frame. When I clicked on the video and looked at the hundreds of comments that were already there, a lot of them were people saying, yep, this account is stealing your stuff. This account is stealing your stuff. But there's probably an equal number of comments of people making fun of the video, trolling me, talking about how it's better with the slime, where's the ASMR, and can I use this for my OC lore? Within 48 hours, that video had more than 8,000 comments, and a lot of them were trolls. So, maybe not the best decision, but on June 24th, I live streamed again, and I poked fun at the trolls. During this second live stream, people were just spamming all kinds of current trends and talking about stuff. And at one point, somebody, I believe, genuinely asked me about my religious affiliations, which I answered honestly. I'm an atheist. I was raised Methodist, but I'm currently atheist. And this remark was met with dozens of people telling me that I need to find Jesus. I need God in my life. I will pray for you. And I genuinely responded, my beliefs is that praying does not comfort the person you're praying for unless they asked for it. It is more comforting to the person doing the praying. And I also discussed the moral hierarchy that most people believe they are on. They believe it's vertical. The more good deeds I do, the better I am than the people down here who aren't doing good deeds. Where in reality, we're all on a horizontal morality spectrum where we've all done bad, we've all done good. Nobody is better than anybody else. And that apparently means that I think I'm better than everyone. But I literally said nobody is better than anybody else because we all make mistakes. And I did poke fun at one of the people, well, many of the people who said that I need to find Jesus because I accurately said that Jesus is a corpse because he did, in fact, die more than 2,000 years ago. And that became all of the trolls saying that I made fun of and mocked all religions and God and Jesus in particular. And that was the start of thousands more people with Bible verses in their bio lines harassing me. A couple more days had passed, we're around June 26th maybe, and I was like, man, these trolls are getting out of hand. They are rabid. And so I said, I'm going to address it. And around the time that I was trying to get my timeline in order, I became aware of my skit from 2023 being recirculated, but not the whole skit. None of the advocacy, none of the message that was meant to put out, only those 10 seconds that were triggering. And they were being recirculated without any trigger warnings or any content warnings. And they were being done so in the most harmful way possible. So when I released my explanation video of the hate campaign and why it was happening, that skit was not a highlight because for more than a week of my life, that had not been the highlight of the hate campaign. That hadn't been the focus. It had been about trolling me over slime and ASMR content. And that really got people mad. So sometime after releasing that explanation video, my information, my personal identifying information got fully doxed. I have had all kinds of information about me put out on Doxing, on Discord, and of course, all over TikTok. Now, the people who are in the comment sections of the videos releasing this information are already telling them, this is too far. This is a crime. What are you doing? This is too much. But the people who are already high on the hatred are flat out saying, I don't care, and I know it's a crime. She deserves everything because of that skit. It was at this time that I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and do an account check because I knew that trolls were there, so I figured false claims were being made, and I got the result. My account was in good standing, and I didn't post anything else on my account after that. But the doxing and the attacks and the hate snowballed from here. And on June 30th, it had become very obvious that my personal phone number had been released. And I had to change my phone number, but doing so shortly after changing to a new carrier was not an easy task, and I had to wait a while before we could do that. And in the meantime, I was getting thousands of phone calls, text messages, voicemails. Most of them were obviously just kids doing their trolling thing, but it got a lot more nefarious than that too. And I was being directly threatened, and my children were being directly threatened because somebody also thought that they should release my children on the internet too. On July 8th, it was the morning, I was drinking my coffee, scrolling through TikTok, looking for the news, and my account got banned permanently. I was not given the option to appeal. I wasn't even able to download my information because every time that I clicked on it to download, it said a problem has occurred. You're out of luck. And since then, I have had, I don't know how many TikTokers and YouTubers posting my story on my behalf. And they are all claiming to have confirmed all kinds of information about me without ever consulting me or even reaching out to me. And so what are the rumors? I've been fired. I've been arrested. My home has been raided. I've caught a drug charge. I've been put on the sex offender registry. I've been swatted, and I've killed myself. All of these things have been claimed to have been confirmed. What, if any of these rumors are true? You're not entitled to that information. No matter how mad you are, no matter what you think you're entitled to, you're not entitled to any of it, just like none of you were entitled to my personal identifying information that I never released. You're going to have to figure out how to cope with that. A lot of people want to know why I would portray something like that, why I would make content about students if my content isn't meant for students. And it's actually really simple. People talk all the time about what is going on in this world, the horrible atrocities that people have to face. And it does nothing. But what seems to have a stronger impact is when you see something happen. When you see it and you're made uncomfortable by it, then you are more compelled to act or to also talk to people in your own circles. And I believe that that is because being uncomfortable is a necessary step in unlearning problematic behavior, in undoing harm that has been done, and in preventing future problematic behavior. Now, since I had received the communication that was triggering for somebody in the trans community, I have changed my content. I have done lots of skits up to the point of reenacting the triggering events, at which point I stop acting, I break the fourth wall, and I talk about it instead. Those of you who have been on my account have noticed that change over the last year, and that's what it was because of. I had changed my content. And so with this hate campaign that's currently going on, a lot of people are trying to invalidate the learning that I have done over the last year. They're trying to invalidate who I am today by weaponizing my past. And I'm sorry, but I've done the learning. I've done the growing. And I am not going to allow hate to make me regress. I am not going to lash out and attack people. I am not going to go and release their information. I am handling it the proper way, through the proper channels, in the best way that I am able and see fit. Now, whoever decided to re-release that triggering event because they had downloaded it from the first posting, I can't control them. Believe me, if I could reach out into the internet and take that clip and make it disappear so that not a single other person has to see that, I would. But I can't control others. I can't make them understand that they're not helping, they're hurting. I can't do that. and holding me responsible for their choices is not appropriate either. There have also been arguments made that even though I had boundary videos up on my page for a year, I had to have known that there were still children consuming my content. It would be ridiculous for me to claim that that wasn't true. But I can put up my boundary videos, and I can put up trigger warnings and content warnings and scroll away notices. But I can prevent people from making inappropriate and unhealthy choices in regards to consuming my content about as well as a movie theater can prevent an adult from buying tickets to an R-rated movie and then giving them to their children. I don't have that kind of control. So I put in the boundaries and the safeguarding that I have at my disposal and hope that the people who are choosing to consume it are doing it with a healthy mindset. I also want to point out that all of the people who have chosen to engage with this hate campaign and make videos about me and perpetrate some of the lies about me, it has not escaped my notice that they are all 25 or younger, easily. If you know, you know. But one YouTuber in particular that I did happen to watch parts of said that I was under fire because I acted too good. And I know that the phrase is too well, but that's what he said. That those are his words, not mine. People are mad because I acted too good, which goes to the mindset that a lot of people have with everybody, not just with educators, but with everybody. You take people and you put them into a box, and anything they do outside of that box, you find offensive. So really what's at the crux of this is, how dare I be an educator and an actor, or an advocate, or a free thinker, or a complex human being willing to push the limits of comfort in order to start a conversation that desperately needs to be had. Was the skit inappropriate? I'm literally getting half and half. Half people say, yep, that was inappropriate. Other people are saying, no, I completely understood what you were doing. And people shouldn't have consumed it if they weren't able to take it for what it was. And you know what? It's not for me to decide. If you thought that that skit was inappropriate, fine. An appropriate response would be to unfollow, block, at most say, hey, this was a bad take, and then you move on. What is not appropriate is putting me and my entire family in harm's way because you don't like what I did. I didn't commit any crimes. There were no children in that skit. And even though there are hundreds of videos out there saying that I graphically showed a child being raped, the sexual assault was chest groping. And I'm glad that people are really, really, really upset about that, because I feel like too often the public will diminish things like groping because it didn't involve that official act. But it is still serious, and it is still traumatic, and it does need to be addressed, and it does need to be taken seriously. So you guys are having pieces of the conversation that I intended to start, but you're not doing it in healthy ways, and you're not doing it in ways that are beneficial to anybody. You're only trying to harm. If I thought that anybody actually cared about undoing harm, preventing harm, accountability, or anything of that nature, you wouldn't be splashing that 10-second clip everywhere. You would have talked about it, like you're all telling me I should have done, like I have been doing for the past year since learning about this discomfort. You wouldn't be putting it out there, because something that I've been teaching my kids for their entire lives is that you cannot undo hurt with more hurt. And I think it's safe to say you cannot undo harmful content by recirculating the harmful content. Now, I will also say that throughout this campaign, I have received a few apologies from people. One of them from the person who started the harassment from my live stream. And they said I did not deserve what had been happening to me, and they were sorry. And to that person and anybody else who sent me an apology for trying to get me canceled or anything else, one really interesting one was a child who said that they weren't going to try and get me canceled until they saw I had read their direct message and didn't respond, because in their words, that's fucked. I didn't respond because it was a minor, and I don't have private communications with minors. I accidentally, unknowingly accepted and responded to a message like a year and a half ago, thinking it was from an adult. And then I found out it was a minor. And I said, I am not the person to solve these problems. You need to contact adult officials where you are. And I ended the conversation because I don't have private communications with minors. It's a safeguarding problem. But you can see the difference between how an immature mind and how a mature mind responds to something like this, to discomfort. And I want to make it clear what I mean by immature versus mature. I'm talking a brain that isn't fully formed and developed yet versus one that is. Because in the face of something that is triggering and uncomfortable, an immature mind will say, I am uncomfortable, so I'm going to make everyone around me as uncomfortable as I possibly can. I'm going to increase the harm. Whereas a mature mind will say, that made me so uncomfortable. What can I do? What can I say? What actions can I take to prevent that harm from impacting one more person's actual life? So I've received those apologies, but it's too little too late. If the people who are apologizing to me are actually remorseful for what they've done, for what they've contributed to, go talk to TikTok. Tell them what you did. Take accountability for your actions. My account is gone, and I don't even think that you guys going to TikTok would get it back. But stop hiding in the dark corner of a private message. Say something public. I have risked speaking my piece for 4.5 years. And the worst thing that any of you can say about me is that I acted out an uncomfortable scenario too well. And it made you think. It made you uncomfortable with your belief systems, with the spaces in which you felt safe, with your own personalities, with your own actions. It's something to reflect on, because I reflected and learned and grew and changed a year ago. For me to sit on a camera and start crying and do all of the apology things that everyone demands of a creator who missteps, it would just be performative at this point, because I already did that growing a year ago. And for every single person saying it doesn't matter, you're just confirming that you never cared about the learning or the growth to begin with. So that's what has actually happened. You don't get to know which of the rumors are true or not. You're not entitled to that. You're not entitled to every aspect of my life. And the sooner that you understand that, the better off you'll be. Have a good day.